over 2,000 emails. Hillary Clinton, it came up in the investigation that she sent and received that were classified, and over 100 of them, over 100 of them were top secret, and 58 times she said to the FBI that she didn't recall, and she also...
You've done your research.
Everybody did their research if you just turned on the news at the time, Mike. But anyway, tell me this, both of you. She says she didn't know what C, a Secretary of State, she didn't know what a C stood for. She thought it was ABC, even though there's C's throughout the document. Why do you think Jim Comey never recommended to DOJ to indict?
Well, one thing that I will say about that, and this doesn't answer your question, but so I'm just throwing that out there.
Now he's being the politician. He's answering the question he really wants to answer.
No, but it's based on your C thing and what she didn't know or whatever. So Secretary Clinton was not super technically savvy, and all those emails that said print this, a lot of them were things that like your parents might print or might say or whatever. And so there are parts of it when she says she doesn't know something, it might be more believable than it would be if, Joe, you claim not to know how to email, because you are a prolific emailer. Do you have your own
I think at the end of the day, Comey, I think we'll find out with his book, and he's and I think he might want to run for office given some of his own actions. But with his book, I think he'll tell the tale. But I think the tale he'll tell is that he felt that they didn't have enough evidence, and that the politics of it were so radioactive. And the assumption was that Hillary was going to easily win the election. That was the assumption of Obama. That was the assumption of Trump, and that was the assumption of Clinton. And he thought the politics would be too delicate, and so my guess is we'll find out all about it. Like, listen, there's not like Donald Trump, like Hillary Clinton deserves like all of the finger pointing at Hillary Clinton that she's getting. Like, she ran a terrible campaign. She's terribly inauthentic. It's like a curse of like if you or your children are like in the womb wanting to be president, like just don't run for president. Like, it just corrupts you. It ends up like sucking out your soul and making you like totally like incapable of having human conversation in a way that people would take as authentic or sincere. And like, she suffered from that. And at the end of the day, and she suffered from her husband, meaning they basically you had an entire country that believed, like, they always had an icky feeling about the Clintons. And so I do think Comey had a huge effect on the election, because anytime you talked about the emails, nobody knows the stats that you just talked about. I would say most Americans have no clue what the server thing was about, other than like, oh, there's some more weird shit that the Clintons are doing. And that's why every time an email came up, her numbers went down. There was always a direct correlation. She got hit with it at the end, and I think that really helped lift him. And if you look at all the people who broke late in the election, almost everybody who broke late, particularly in Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, all broke for him. And I think it was the ickiness.
But the delicacy, I understand the argument, and I've understood it sometime in what you're saying about Jim Comey. He doesn't want to basically single-handedly decide the election, let the American people decide the election, and the radioactivity with Hillary of him getting involved. But saying that, why wouldn't he then indict Huma Abedin, who then they find thousands of Hillary's emails, over 1,000 classified emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop?
I just don't know. Do you know?
I'm just impressed that you said the words Anthony Weiner's laptop, and you said it with a straight face.
I do think you've got to go back to that point, because the history's been a little bit rewritten in terms of like, oh, Bannon and Trump thought they were going to win. They did not think that they were going to win. Nobody thought that they were going to win. And I do think that was a huge motivating force. I think it's why Obama did not get more involved when he probably should have gotten involved and gotten more stuff out. And Hillary has, I think, a legitimate gripe there. And I think it's one of the reasons Comey didn't do some of the things that we thought that he would do. And you have to have the evidence to indict. Like, who knows what exactly he had at that point.